13th floor. The 13th floor.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the 13th floor, where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing. I'm your moderator, B. Jones, and we're going to be continuing with our theme of men's wellness this month. We're going to get into financial wellness this week with our special guest, JEMAL King, who's going to share with us the power of real estate investment. We also have Faison. He's going to give us the rundown on his experience with the male form of birth control. Yes. And we have our rock, our staple, Mr. Serial Entrepreneur, DJ Barry B. Fresh is going to drop that this week's Fresh in Biz tip. So without any further ado, let me get through my introductions. The baritone on the podcast, Deacon Rubra, Mike Matthews. What's happening, baby?
Got up a little early this morning to get them ready. So we all good this morning.
DJ Barry B. Fresh, how you feeling, man? I know that flu had you down for a little bit.
Oh, man. Flu is real, y'all. I don't know if y'all got y'all shots or not, but if you didn't, don't let this thing hit you. I've been down for a week. I just feel like I just got out a 10-year sentence, man. But we here, we strong, we ready, we fresh. Let's get it.
Mr. Rock Out with your cock out. What's happening, baby?
Enjoying life. Hey, listen, this has been a crazy weekend. Wife's taking care of me, but it's been it's different. I can tell you, it's definitely different. I got a lingering annoyance for the last couple of days.
The wife taking care of you is how you got in this situation.
You feel me?
Doing.
Coach K, man, how you feeling this morning?
Hey, man, I'm good, man. I'm ready to laugh at everybody else and have a good time and learn about investing, man.
Yeah, rock out with your cock out.
And last but not least, our special guest, Mr. JEMAL King, who has turned his dream of being a millionaire into a reality via real estate investment. In 2002, King purchased and renovated his first investment property, and since then has used real estate as a vehicle to totally change his and his family's financial status. And over the last 10 years, King has opened multiple child care learning centers. He has a successful security business and maintains an extensive and profitable real estate portfolio. So let's talk about the power of real estate, Mr. King. It recreated the life for you and your family and even the folks like us who come into contact with you, man. So give us some background on how you first got started and what brought you into that space.
Man, well, like you just got through saying, bruh, my whole life, I wanted to be a millionaire, and I just knew I was going to the NFL. You know, I was like, okay, the NFL is going to be how I'm going to make it. I'm not, my family, everybody in my family is blue-collar workers. My mother was a police officer. My father was a police officer. My brother was a police officer. And I was like, hey, that's not going to be my reality. Even though there was nothing wrong with being a blue-collar and being a police officer, I just always saw more for myself. So, you know, growing up in the hood, I ain't never seen like multi-millionaires. Never did I have multi-millionaires in my circle. So the only thing that I ever saw for myself is when I turn on TV, I see Deion Sanders. You know, I see these guys making millions on TV. So I was like, all right, cool, that's going to be me. I want that kind of lifestyle. So I ended up getting a football scholarship, going to Western Illinois University. And when I was at Western, you know, I had a decent career, but everybody else around me was getting drafted. My coach sat me down my senior year and was like, hey, King, I want to talk to you. And I was like, all right, coach. You know, I'm like, man, everybody coming out to his office after they had their meeting. And they like, oh, man, you know, hey, coach just told me I got a 5th-round draft grade. I got a 4th-round draft grade. He was like, King, your turn. So I'm getting ready. I'm like, man, I'm about to go up there. Coach about to tell me I'm about to get drafted in like the 4th, 5th round too. Man, coach was like, yeah. So your father, he's a Chicago police officer, right? I was like, yeah. My dad, he a cop. He's like, your mom a cop too, right? And I was like, yeah. He's like, man, you ever thought about being a police officer? And I was like, coach, why would you tell me, you know, asking me why would I want to be a police officer when, you know, I'm going to the NFL? You told me that if I came here and if I did everything I was supposed to do, if I bust my butt, played hard, gave everything, I was going to make it to the NFL. And he was like, yeah, unfortunately, you know, it's not in your future. And so that right there, bro, just kind of crushed my little dreams, bro. And I had to make a way. But at that time, I didn't have no other vision in mind for my life. I was suffering from what I call PTSD, not post-traumatic stress disorder, but post-traumatic sports disorder. And, you know, and that's where, like, football for me was my second love. Just in case my mama listening. My mama was my first love. Football was my second love. And that post-traumatic sports disorder, a lot of athletes, and I don't know if any of you guys played sports before, but everybody I came across with, they suffered from that at one point in their life. You know, it's where, you know, all you can, ever since you was a kid, the only thing you thought about was making it to the league. No matter what sport it is, football, basketball, baseball, whatever it is, no matter what, when you were a kid, all you thought about was making it to the league. Everybody around you, you know, like my grandma, every time I see her, I wouldn't see my grandma for about 4 or 5 months. And then when I see her, the first thing she said is, you know, how many tackles did you get? How many touchdowns did you make? You know, everybody in your circle, that's all they talk to you about. They identify you with football. And so for me, that's all, even from different males in my life. Every time they talked to me, everything was always dealing with football. So I was suffering from that post-traumatic sports disorder where I thought football was the only thing that was in my future, bro. And I never saw nothing different for my life.
Yeah, and so we haven't gotten into that in our podcast episodes, but it's probably something that we need to put on deck, because shame on us for allowing our kids to grow up with just that seed planted of, hey, you becoming a professional athlete is the only way, right? So theoretically, now that we know better, so like for you, for instance, for Mike D, who played baseball and basketball, for Brett, who ran track and played some football. I think you guys know that, okay, that's great that we take you down this sports route, but I also want to expose you to these other things that you could potentially do so you can make a choice on which one you want to do. Or even if you do end up becoming a professional athlete, I've still set you up in a manner into which you can go whichever road you want to go, or you can do both at the same time.
Yeah, it's
right?
not a one pony show, right? You got to be able to understand, even though your focus and your drive is set where it needs to be, understand that doesn't mean that that's your only talent or your only ability or your only way to do anything. So yeah, definitely.
Right. As opposed to having a two sport all-star like a Deion Sanders, you want to create a multiple lane star.
Yes.
Right, where that's not your only thing that you can do. But let's keep it going. Go ahead, Mike.
No, I was gonna say that's just the evolution of a generation. Because you know, when we were younger, as the shorties are now, we didn't have those that were older than us as elders that had the mindset of being able to create something else on their own. So
Right.
It was like, if you gonna make that type of money, you either gonna be on TV or you gonna do something in sports. So since I don't have access to the TV, then, you know, go ahead and, you know, do your sport thing. And that just became kind of what we did. And it wasn't until we got a guy in Jamal's situation where it's like you start seeing people that left the hood, went to school, that you knew this guy was going to be in the NBA, you knew this guy was going to be in the NFL, and he didn't make it. And then he came back home. Then you start to have that conversation. Okay, well, maybe I need to start getting my books together. I need to start thinking of other things in terms of what I'm going to do with my life other than saying I'm going to be an NFL player. And the teacher like, oh, yeah, you are. That's good. All right. And then they just give you that all the way through school to get the label.
But man, what's crazy, fellas, even to this day, like if I'm in a hotel, I'm somewhere, because, you know, I'm always working out. And even to this day, I still get people asking me in the airport, do you play in the NFL? Do you play Major League Baseball? Nobody has ever asked me like, hey, are you a CEO?
Yep.
Nobody has ever asked that. And then, you know, and you see this disorder even go through your children. The first thing, I got a son that's 2 years old. And, you know, of course, he looks like he's probably about 4 years old. But every time people walk up to him, the first thing they say, oh, man, he's going to be a basketball player. Yep. And I'm like, oh, no. You're not about to put this little psychological trauma on my son. Now, he's about to own a portfolio that's worth billions. That's what I tell him every time I see him.
He's going to own an NBA team. Like, he's not worried about being a player. He wants to be an owner.
Right. Exactly. And that's that mindset. So, you know, after I had after my NFL dreams was crushed, I didn't have no other vision for my life. And I think that right there is the problem with most of us in our community. You know, we stuck on that one vision that we had ever since we were 6 years old. And we never come up with this new vision for ourselves. So at that point, I just took the first thing that was available to me, right? At that point, I was like, okay, cool. I might as well just join the family business because I didn't know of anything else to do. And then that's when I went to the police department. And that was never what I wanted to do for myself. And don't get me wrong, the police was cool. You know, the whole thing with the police, they put food on our table. We had a good life. My parents had 4 kids. All of my siblings all graduate from college. Matter of fact, I'm the one with the least amount of education from between my siblings. Everybody got 2 master's degrees in my family, and I just couldn't think of anything else to do. So the easiest thing for me to do was join the police department. And that's when my life changed. It changed for the better and it changed for the worse. And I'll tell you about one situation that really changed my life. And I always say I kind of almost lost my life twice this night. So I went to the police department not knowing what I really wanted to do. I was just wanting to make money. I was 21 years old. I had a job, I had a gun, and I had a badge. And so, I'm working the streets of Chicago. I know y'all hear about everything that goes on in Chicago. And it was one night in particular where me and my partner had a training officer, an old timer, and we walked up to these kids. We saw them out there. We working midnights, and we seen these kids outside. So we was like, hey, let's go talk to these kids. Let's go ahead and take them home. I walk up to one of the kids. There's about 5 of them. They all in a circle. I walk up to one kid in particular, and I'm like, hey, let me talk to you. Kid was cool. And I'm like, hey, how old are you? Kid said he was 15 years old. So I'm like, okay, cool. We're going to take you home. But before you actually put somebody in the back of your squad car, it's customary to pat them down. So here it is. I tell the kid, like, hey, I got to pat you down. I'm going to take you home. We're going to take you home to your parents. Let them sign for you, get you guys off the street. As soon as I walk up to the kid and go to patting him down, the kid pushes me, takes off running. Now, here it is, bro. I just got through playing football just 4 months prior to that, thinking I'm going to the NFL. So I'm in perfect tip-top shape. So, the kid running, I'm like, oh, man, this game on again. I'm back in my football days. I'm about to make a tackle. So I'm chasing this kid, man. We running down this dark alley. And the kid, my partner, he was an old timer. He couldn't even keep up. So he hopped in the squad car. I'm like about 5 feet away from the kid, man. The kid dips between these 2 huge apartment buildings. The kid jumps on top of this. You couldn't go left or right. It was 2 buildings in between. It was like this 8-foot fence in front of us, and it had barbed wire on the top. So the kid jumps up on this fence, get cut by the barbed wire. I'm grabbing the kid to pull him down. As I'm pulling this kid down, the kid reaches in his waist and pulls out a Tech 9 and points it to my head, man. Points it to my head. As I grab his hand and the gun, the kid holds down the trigger and bullets start flying over my head. I'm sitting up here just thinking to myself, bro, like, I can't believe this. Here it is. I'm just graduating from college, thinking I'm about to go to the NFL. I'm out here on the police department. I'm paying at the time, they paying me $36,000 a year, and now I'm getting shot at for taking the kid home. So this kid is shooting over my head, bro. And then my partner finally pulls up. My partner's so dark, he thought that I was shot. My partner starts shooting back at the kid. And the kid falls over to the other side of the fence. I fall down on the ground because my partner's shooting. And then now all my partner bullets is going into an apartment building that's right across the street from where we was at.
Wow.
So the kid goes on the other side of the street, man. Listen to this. The kid goes to falls on the other side of the fence. My partner goes up. I get up off the ground. At this point, my whole mindset, dog, I'm just lost, shaking. I'm just like, bro, I could have got killed twice by my partner and by this kid right here. We call in the chase. The kid actually gets up and runs. Don't know if he shot or what. He drops his gun though on the side of the fence I was on. We call in the chase. All of the supervisors come on the scene, right? All of the brass, all the supervisors, they tell them they got a partner. Hey guys, you all right? We're like, yeah, we're good. And he's like, okay, cool, man. All right. You guys got the gun. Good job. The guy got away. Hey, we'll find him. But it's one major problem. What's that, Sarge? Across the street is an apartment building that's got 16 units in it, 16 different apartments. And your bullets possibly went to those apartments over there. You guys possibly have killed somebody. I'm like, hold on, you saying you guys. Here it is. I just got shot at. Yeah. I got shot at. I got shot at. And then my partner shot over there. But you know how I go in the police department, because I was still a rookie, I'm an at-will employee. So I can get fired just because. My partner who did the actual shooting, he could actually stay on the job, and he got the union to back him up. So they took us, they separated us, they put me in one squad car, in the back of a squad car. They put my partner in the back of another squad car. And then they're like, we have to go and knock on every single door in this apartment building. And then the commander gave the call on the air, said, everybody, all the units stay off the radio, and if somebody don't answer the door, kick the door in. So you could only imagine. Here it is, bro. I'm 21 years old, thinking I'm going to the NFL, thinking I'm about to be this millionaire, and all of a sudden, man, I'm sitting here in the back of the squad car. Never been arrested a day in my life. but I felt like a criminal, right? But here it is, I still got the badge on my chest though. And so I'm listening to the radio, and while I'm listening to the radio, they're saying on there, they're like unit number 1, and they knocking on the door. And then, you know, the people answer the door and they're like, yeah, everything is fine. And you hear them on the radio saying, okay, unit number 1 is accounted for, everybody's good. Bro, they get to like unit number 10. And at that point, nobody answers the door. So the commander gets the call to kick the door in. They kick the door in, and then you can just hear the quietness on the radio, bro. And they just like going around. They like, you know, nobody's in here. And when they get to the last unit, everybody in the building was accounted for. Either the apartment was empty. They come back to the car. They come back to the squad car, and they open up the door, and they pat me on the back and my partner on the back, and they say, good job, fellas. I was done.
Wow.
I was done, bro. That was the motivation I needed, because the only reason why I even joined the police department was going back to what I learned from my parents about job security, right? Mm-hmm. Benefits, you know, longevity. But the crazy part about it was all 3 of them major components that the reason why they told me to join the job was in jeopardy at that very moment.
All right, so let me pause you right there. So I got 2 questions. The first one, who's responsible for those doors y'all kicked in?
Who's responsible if a door is kicked in?
Yeah, did you guys go replace those doors?
Well, not us personally. You know, you're not gonna get no police officers out there on those screwdrivers, but
the city.
The city actually.
The relationship.
Yeah, no, the city. You're right. The city. Hey, you know what that is? Community relations. Yeah, the city actually. They give you a voucher or something like that, or you know, something to that effect.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
So that was the non-serious question. Here's the serious question. So it sounds from like what you're saying, that was the pivotal moment where you realize, okay, hold on. 1, how did I get here? 2, what do I need to do from this moment forward? If the listeners are listening, is that what they should be getting out of that point there?
Well, you know what? Those points and one more, that job security is not really that secure.
Right.
Job security is not really that secure. So I learned that my whole life could have changed twice that day.
Right.
Either I could have got killed, or I could have lost my job, or could have been locked up.
And that third point, I'm so glad you brought it up, because a lot of people feel overly secure in what they have current state. Right.
Yes.
So they go to sleep and don't realize you could wake up the next day and your whole company's shut down. Done. Overnight. Man. All right. We're going to let you continue from there, bro. So what are your next steps after that?
Yeah. So my next step, bro, was when this was where the exposure part came in at. So I get a call from a teammate of mine that actually got drafted. And my buddy was just like, hey, you know, everybody on the football team and everybody back in school, they were talking, man, we heard Jamal got shot. You know, police officer Chicago got shot. And I was like, no, I didn't get shot, but I got shot at. And then my boy called me up. He had got drafted. He's playing with the Baltimore Ravens. And he was like, hey, Jay, you all right? And I was like, yeah, I'm good. He was like, hey, man, if you ever want to get away, man, you can come on down to Baltimore, bro, and, you know, come check me out, man. You know, get away from Chicago. So I was like, man, you know what? That's a great idea. So I took him up on that, and I hopped in. At the time, man, I was riding a 1993 Chevy Blazer. I hopped in that that Chevy Blazer.
Yes, sir.
You already know. So I hopped in that Blazer, man, and took a trip, man, to Baltimore. And, bro, this was the trip that changed my life. This was my first time really getting outside. Everybody been to Mississippi, been down south with family members and things like that, but I never been to a community like this. So we finally get to Baltimore, and he lived in this gated community. And man, it was so crazy, Carol. I remember when, you know, you had to drive up to this gated community, and it was like a guard right there. You had to sign your name, tell them where you was going. And I never forget when them gates opened, bro. It changed my life. I literally, bro, was driving in this community, and I remember seeing like these 750 Li. I remember seeing Bentleys in the driveways. I remember seeing Mercedes Benzes. I remember all of the houses had this well manicured lawn, and you know, and it was just something different, bro. It was like the sun was even shining better there. You know, it was like the second you pull into the gated community, you know, it was like the sun just came out, and I was just like, man, what is this?
And we just talk about Maryland. For the rest.
Yeah, right. And I'm just like, this is just something totally different. That one piece of trash was on the ground, bro. Everybody's yard was cut. It was mansions, and They had like koi ponds in the yard, man. It was just unbelievable. I ain't never seen nothing like this in my life. But every single house on the block was tight. So I pulled up to my guy crib and couldn't even pull my car in the driveway, bro. The driveway was so steep. I couldn't even, my 93 Chevy Blazer wouldn't even go up the driveway. So I had to park my car out front, just embarrassed, and I'm like, man, I got a job. Why am I living like this? Why does it look like, I'm working every single day. I'm busting my butt. I'm getting shot at. And, I ain't even stepped foot in his crib yet. I was just on the outside of the house and I was feeling some kind of way.
Wow.
So, so that was just something, man, that exposure of seeing that. But then when I did get there, my boy opened up the door, whatever, we got to talking. And he was like, hey, a few of my guys, we all going out to dinner tonight. He was like, man, Jay, we don't go out to dinner, man, this restaurant, let's go. And so I was like, all right, cool. So we get to this restaurant. This was another experience where it just really messed up my mindset. It showed me how I was conditioned, how my mindset was just conditioned. So we go to this expensive restaurant. It was a steakhouse. And we get there, and he got a few other his buddies with him that play in the NFL. And when we get there, the second we sit down, the waitress, she's bringing out water and drinks and didn't even give out the menus yet. And my man, they like, hey, let me get filet mignon. Let me get T-bone steak. I want, they just naming like lobster tail. They naming all of these items without even looking at the menu. She looking at me like, do you know what you want, sir? I'm like, yeah, let me see the menu. And so she finally gives me this menu. And then they like, they all sitting back looking crazy at me like, what you waiting on? What you waiting on to order? And I'm over here, find myself, I'm looking at the right side of the menu, And you know what the right side of the menu is, right? Everybody, I see you smiling. Yep. The right side is the prices. And so what I did, I found myself looking at the right side of the menu to dictate to me what I was going to eat. And so by everybody else, though, they didn't even look at the menu. But then my man said, stop me. He was like, Jay, what you doing? And they like hitting each other on the arm, like, man, look at this dude. And then they like, what you doing? I'm like, I'm looking, I'm trying to see what I want to eat. He's like, what's taking so long? What you want to eat? And I'm like, well, I'm looking at the price. And I asked the lady, this one here says MP. What is that? And she's like, well, that's market price, And I'm like,
well, what's the market?
Right, what's the market? And I want to know. And my boy was like, dog, what do you want to eat? And I was like, well, I'm kind of sitting here because at the time, man, I was making like, $1,200 every 2 weeks. I'm making $1,200 every 2 weeks. So I'm budgeting, what my money, making my money last or whatever. And then my boy sat there and he said, hey, Jay, look, dog, we don't do that here, man. We just get what we want to eat. We don't look at the prices. And so at that very moment, bro, I had thought about it like, wow, like what else in life am I looking at the prices on before I actually buy it? I mean, if you think about that, everybody has a habit and we do it unconsciously. We live off the right side of the menu. We let the type of car that we buy dictate, we let the price of the car determine what type of car we're going to drive. Even with your children, with the type of school they attend, we let how much the school costs. We don't look at, is it the best school for our kids? Is it the best? Will they get the best education? We look at, well, the price of this school is this price. So therefore, this is what we're going to send our kids. So for me, I was not necessarily making the best choice of what I wanted to eat, but I was making the best choice out of the limited items that I could afford. And so in my life, I noticed that I wasn't just doing it with food. I was doing that with everything in my life. I was letting the prices dictate what I would get, whether it was for my wife.
Taste.
Yeah. And that's not how you live life. That's not living life. That's just experiencing life a little bit.
And that's powerful, man, because what we don't know, right? And maybe there's some studies out there. I'm not aware of any. We all went to school. If anybody knows of any, please speak up about it. But we don't know what the long-term mental health effects of that are, right? Knowing that you have to look at the price of everything as you try to live your life. Like, what does that do to you as a person? What does that do to you as a people, right? And I'm not just talking about us as Black people, right? Because anybody who doesn't get to a certain level of economic status, you're experiencing that daily. Every decision you make is driven by, man, can I afford this? Or what am I not going to be able to pay because of this?
Yeah. Weighing options, right?
Yep.
Yeah, but if you just think about it, think about how many people, what you're doing in life, like how many decisions you have made based off of the right side of the menu. Think about how we just live our life. Think about how we go through life not getting what we really want, but what we can afford.
You got yourself a book title, sir.
You feel me? The right side of the menu.
I'm telling you, we're gonna come back and talk about that, brother. It's a psychological trauma, man, and I see it so much. So now I got this thing that we do. You know, every time we go somewhere, every time we always say, and I always tell people, man, live life on the left side of the menu, because on the left side is much sweeter. You know, even when we vacation now, our vacations, we live them on the left side of the menu. We don't look at the prices no more. We don't look at what something costs. You know, as far as where we're going to travel, we go to where we want to go, and then we let our investments worry about the right side.
So let's talk about how we get from that right side of the menu to the left side, man. Like how did you transition? You know what I'm saying? Not only your mind, but your ability to actually get on the left side of the menu.
Well, let me say this one last thing. After we had left that restaurant, and this is important, so I want to definitely say this. After we left that restaurant, man, I went back to my guy crib, and we sat down, and we was just sitting up talking. And I remember my guy was like, "Hey, Jay, man, you know, when we was in college, man, when we was like 18, 19 years old, did you ever think that we'd be living like this?" And I remember sitting in his mansion, and I remember looking around like, we not living like this, dog. This is I'm like, bro, you got a BMW, you got a Mercedes, you got a Hummer. Oh, you're living like this. I ain't living like this back home. He was just like, I mean, man, you got a career, man. You got your benefits. You got your, it ain't the same, dog. And I remember just, thinking to myself, like, wow, that he was just like, man, Jay, I never would imagine that I'll be having checks like this. And this is my boy. He was a really close friend of mine, so he wasn't trying to be boastful or nothing, man. But my man reached in his pocket, and he pulls out this check. And Brad, man, it changed my life. He pulls out this check and hands it to me. I looked at this check. This check said $200,000. Wow. It was a $200,000 check. And that I was like, man, the NFL paid you up front for the year? You know, just sitting there looking like, what? Like, and he was just like, no, man, this is my check. And I was like, wow, they pay y'all, once every month. That's tight. And he was like, no, man, this is what I make every week. I was like, dog, quit playing. I'm like, you make $200,000 a week? I'm like, bro, I was just at your game. You made like 8 tackles, which is pretty good game. You making 8 tackles as a linebacker. But dog, just that week, a week prior to that, I locked up like 7 or 8 felons. I'm like, my man, he made like several game-saving tackles. Granted, I give it to him. But dog, I was out there saving lives. I'm out here saving lives, bro, and I'm getting paid, dog, $1,200 every 2 weeks. And you winning football games, you getting paid $200,000 a week? Like, dog, that can't be right, dog. Tell me this ain't life. This ain't my life. This is not how it is. This is my I'm making $600 every doggone week. $1,200 every 2 weeks. I can barely go out to eat and pay my bills. But you got so much money that you got a check. You can't even spend this $200,000 could last you for a whole year off one check. Mm-hmm. I'm just like, bro, this can't be it. And I seen it. I seen how my life was going to end up turning out. And it wasn't going to be a bad life. It was going to be a good life, but it wasn't going to be the type of life where I could live life on that left side of that menu.
Right.
I was going to be stuck on the right side. So now, Brett, it goes to what did I do about it?
Right.
And so at that point, man, on the ride back home to Chicago, you can only imagine the stuff that was going through my head. And I was just like, I'll never be able to make $200,000, working a job for anybody. Make $200,000 a week. When you talking about a week, working a job for anybody. And so at that point, I was just like, I always remembered seeing like real estate. I always remember, even in my neighborhood, I remember growing up, I used to see like sometimes like older white men coming to the black community, and I didn't really know what they were doing. I thought they were lost a lot of times, and I would see them going into the apartment buildings, right? To a multi-unit apartment building. And I would be like, man, what's going on? They got a baby mama in there or something. They got, why are they the maintenance person? Why are they always going there? But I would notice that they would always be going there on the first of the month. Like, why are they going on the first of the month? and you would see them pull up, and they would have the 750s. You know, they would have the Mercedes Benzes, and it was like, what are they doing? So as I got older, I noticed, man, these guys wasn't here to see they wives, their baby mama, whatever. They was here to collect rent.
Yep.
They was here to collect rent. And then they would take the money that they was collecting from our neighborhood, and they was going back to
their neighborhood
and living in a mansion. And it was like, okay. And so what I did, man, this is when I went in and I called what I call a plan. And this is when I started writing down my life. And fellas, this is so important. And anybody out there listening, you know, this is where this is exactly what you want to do. It wasn't everybody always asked me, Carol. They'd be like, man, what book did you read? You know, what sparked your mind? And I tell people all the time, the book I read is called The Book of You. And the author of that book is you. It's your life.
Wow.
It ain't nobody else's life. Nobody else is going to be able to tell you about your life other than you. And so when I wrote down what I did, I call it the menu. I wrote down my whole life. I wrote down all my debt. I took a sheet of paper and I wrote down all my debt. On the left side of the paper, I drew a line. So imagine having a sheet of paper and in the middle, put a line down the middle of the paper. To the left-hand side, I wrote down the type of house I was living in. I wrote down the type of car I was driving. I wrote down, you know, everything that my bills. And then to the right of that item, I wrote down the prices, just like the menu was, right? And so my total number, I added it up, and my total number came out to $5,000 at the time. That $5,000 number represented my lifestyle, right? That's what it cost to be me. At the time, every single month, the monthly amount it cost to be JEMAL was $5,000 a month. So what I did, I said, okay, cool. My house at the time was $1,500. So I said, I would need enough residual income to come in from buying me a rental piece of property where every single month I can take that profit and I can put it towards my house where I live. Now I don't have to take this money that I have that I'm getting from the police department and use it to pay this house note, because now my residual income is going to take care of that. And so the first property I bought, I went, and keep in mind, fellas, I looked at 77 properties before I bought my first one. And the reason between the 77 properties, a lot of those properties were good properties, but I was very precise and I was very persistent. I was looking for properties that was going to take care of those different items on my menu.
So it took a certain level of patience.
Oh man!
Before you found the right opportunity, I think.
Yes, and man, the certain level. It took patience. It took patience because it was properties that, you know, my real estate broker at the time was bringing me, and these properties would have brought me. They would have netted me like $800, and I was like, oh man, $800 is cool. But I was like, no, we're gonna stay persistent. We're gonna stay disciplined. We're gonna go for those items that's on the menu. And then once I went ahead and I bought my first property, it was a 4-unit, multi-unit building. This property here, it was in a decent community. You know, I bought it for $125,000 and it needed work. I put about another $25,000 into it. So I was into this property for $150,000. It was 4 apartments in there. And so each apartment at the time I was renting out for $1,000. So I was grossing $4,000 a month income. And then my mortgage at the time was only $1,000 off, and I had a low interest rate. And so I was netting $3,000 a month off of that first property. And so what I did, so now here it is, my total number, what it cost to be me was $5,000 a month. So instantly now, $3,000 of the $5,000 was taken care of. And so now $2,000 was all I had to do to cover that $5,000 number. And then what I did after because every single property I buy, and I tell people all the time, people are like, well, how was you able to give the property value? You know, a lot of people, when they think getting in real estate is just taking over a piece of property. And I call that really like assuming mortgages. I add value. As an investor, we add value to everything we do. We add value. So I never bought a property that was already fixed up. You know, always. So I have 3 components that I look at when I buy properties. You know, the first thing is I look at what's going to be my net income from this property. I always look at my net. I don't look at the gross. I look at the net. What will be my net income from this property? The next thing I look at is what is the ARV, and that's the after repair value. meaning after I fix this property up, how much value, how much equity will this property have? And then the third thing I look at, is this area a desirable area? What's the upside to this area in the next 5 years, 10 years, 20 years?
Powerful, man.
Man, okay. So, woo, you just dropped so many things.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen so many of us writing down stuff that the podcast is doing.
Typing as we're going, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Man,
Exactly.
I mean,
But-
nuggets. And here's the part that I think we need to understand a little bit more, right? Because for most people, they don't know what that first step is. So did you invest your own money? Did you have investors? Did you take a loan? How did you do that for the first property?
Yeah, and so great question. The first property, so I didn't have a mortgage in my name. So you have what's called an FHA mortgage, which is like first time home buyer mortgage. And that percentage that you have to put down out of your pocket is like 3 to 5%, depending on the bank you go to or depending on your credit score. And so all I had to come out of my pocket with was 3%. And so I got the 3%, I was saving up a little bit of money. And at the time, my wife now was my girlfriend, and we were saving up money together. And then the police department, they gave us what was called a uniform allowance or a uniform loan. And so you can go in for uniforms, for guns, badges, not badges, for guns, different uniforms. You can get a $5,000 loan from the police department. They'll just take it out of your check. So I took that money that should have went to uniforms and different things like that. And I went ahead and I used that money as my down payment on my first property.
Wow.
Yep. And then, guys, I want to go back to the menu. Once I took care of that $5,000 number, which was my current lifestyle, to the other side, I had what was called my future lifestyle. And so at that point, I had enough real estate to cover my current debt, my monthly current debt. And then now I saw that $1,200 that I was getting from the police department, well, actually it was more by then, but that amount of money I was getting from the police department was just going in my pocket, right? And so then I started working on my future lifestyle. So then, remember I was telling you, Carol, where I was saying, all right, this is the house I live in. This is the type of car I drive. Mm-hmm. I said, what type of house do I want to live in the future? How much is that mortgage? How much does it cost to live in a 10,000, 15,000 square foot house? And then what I did, I drove around, I looked at different houses. I saw that these houses cost X amount of dollars. And then I broke down the mortgage amount and said, okay, the mortgage amount for this house is going to be $4,000 a month. So in order for me to live like this in the future, I need to be residually making $4,000 a month to purchase that type of house. So then I started buying enough real estate now to meet my future. And then my future eventually became my present. And then that's how I started living life on the left side of the menu. Wow. Where I was just, living in the type of house that I want to live in, driving the type of car that I wanted to drive. And it was all paid for by real estate. It was all taken care of by real estate. Imagine that kind of life. Imagine that you're getting what you want in life, not what you can afford, but what you want to have in life, and it's taken care of by something that you get for the rest of your life. It's taken care of by something that can't be taken away from you because of a mistake by your partner. It's taken care of you, and it can't be taken away from you because your contract ran out or because you tore your ACL. This is something that you got for the rest of your life. Just imagine that. Imagine that whenever you want to get more money for yourself, you give yourself a raise. I literally, every time the police department had a promotional test, I would buy a property. Every single time. To become a sergeant is a $10,000 raise from a patrolman. $10,000 a year. That breaks down like $600 and something. And then you take taxes out of that and everything else, you might be getting $300 every 2 weeks. I would just go buy me a building. And this building would be bringing me in $2,000 to $3,000, netting me $2,000 to $3,000 a month.
Wow.
So then my lifestyle, I just started seeing it change. I started seeing that, and it goes back to that menu again. Mm-hmm. I started seeing it where I saw my wife actually not count the cost. She started looking at schools for our kids. We had our daughters at the time, Ayana and Jasmine, and we didn't say, what school can we send our kids to? We just started looking at the best schools. We literally started looking at the best schools that was in the state of Illinois, not a neighborhood school, right? Not the best neighborhood school, but we looked at the best school that this state had to offer. And then once we did, we said, how much does that cost? Oh, wow, it's going to cost $3,000 a month. All right, cool. Let me get started. Let me go ahead. Let me buy a property. Then I went and bought a property. And this property took care of my daughter's schooling. My daughter about to graduate this Tuesday.
Oh, man.
From the top school in Illinois. And we looked it up. My two daughters, one daughter is in 4th grade, and the other daughter is in 8th grade right now. And from the time they've been born, they've been in this school. From the time they've been, been able to go to school, they've been going to this school. And me and my wife just looked this up 2 days ago. We spent over $258,000 on their education. And this is grammar school.
And we're not talking about college.
No, this is not even high school. This is grammar school. But the best part about it, bruh, is that we did not have to work for it. We didn't have to pay for it. Our investments took care of it. My daughter knows Spanish. She knows French. She knows Mandarin.
Wow.
I mean, my daughter, getting straight A's, got grades out that me and my wife could only imagine, bruh. We both went to public school. Me and my wife went to the same high school, went to the same college. But that's what that generational wealth is all about. It ain't necessarily all about money. It's about setting that next generation up. Yep. It's about giving them that boost that they need in life, that they're going to need in life. So now my girls, man, I see them, and they are so smart. And the crazy part about it is I thank God because this menu that we wrote down, this menu has changed our life. And in so many ways, you can't even imagine. I probably won't even get the chance to see the fruits of our labor, to see the real fruits of it. Mm-hmm. We're talking generational right now, man.
Right.
Yeah. So let me ask you this, man, because I want to give the people that they may not watch this, but they may listen to it in their car or wherever. So that menu, right? You were pretty visual with it when we started. So left side was your current living status. The right side was the cost associated with that, right? So the life that you wanted to live, is that when you flip the menu over? Where is it?
If you look at it, if you take it, so you have if you draw a line down the middle of the paper,
yep,
to the left, all the way to the far left of the line, mm-hmm, you have everything that you're writing down, and still to the left of the line is the prices, okay, right? That's your current lifestyle. Okay. And then on the other side of the line, you have your future title, your future lifestyle.
Gotcha. Okay.
To the left of that line of the future lifestyle is the type of house you want to buy, the car you want to live in. The car you want to drive, those items. And to the right of that, those items are the prices that go along with that.
Okay.
It's not good enough. A lot of times, the reason why a lot of people are stuck in their current situation is because they're not planning for the future. I'm right now, the crazy part about it, Carol, I got this thing and I call it like the 10-year rule. Like everybody looking at the JEMAL today, right? The JEMAL today living in a 18,600 square foot house. The JEMAL today got a sports bar, got a movie theater, his own gym, got a nightclub in his house. But what people looking at, they looking at me today and they not realizing that the JEMAL that was 30 years old envisioned this. I give credit to the JEMAL that was 30 years old for this house, not the JEMAL that's 40. The JEMAL that's 40 is just living in it. Mm-hmm. But the JEMAL that was 30 set him up to live in this. And the JEMAL that was 20 set that JEMAL that was 30 up to be able to do what he did. So I break my life down by 10 years every time. Now I can sit back and I can just sit up and party and celebrate and just live in everything that I got going on right now. Or I can say, if I don't do something right now at 40, and the JEMAL turns 50, he's still the same situation he's in at 40, which is not bad. It's not bad at all, but it's still more out there. You should always be evolving. You should always be progressing. Always.
That's I think, one of the biggest things that we got through this conversation is the mind state that the people will need to have. That producer mind state, that's setting up that generational wealth. All of those things are critical components. And I don't want the listener to get so caught up in seeing the masterpiece that is JEMAL King right now and forget about the work that was put in at 20, at 30, that you were able to, reap the fruits of that labor here at 40. And I know we talked about the FHA, but I also want to see, are there any other resources that some of the first time people, buyers or homeowners that are looking to change their current lifestyle, change their financial well-being right now, that they can look into to get into real estate?
Yeah, so there's a lot of development companies out here, mortgage companies, hard money lenders, that actually will give you money. If you're looking at getting real estate as an investor, now we're speaking as an investor. If you're looking to get in real estate as an investor, it's tons of companies out here that literally you have to come out of your pocket 10% or 20%, and they'll give you the money to purchase the property, and they'll give you the money to renovate the property. And so that's all I do. Even still to this day, I go to these companies and I get the money to purchase the property. I get the money. They give you the money actually to renovate the property also.
What are some of the things that you have to bring to the table when you go into these companies? Is it like a 750 credit score? Outside of that 10%?
Right now, my portfolio speaks for itself. So I haven't been, I don't have to, they don't even look at your credit when you get to this point. But back then, for the people that's listening, yes. So a lot of times right now, and you don't even need a 750 credit score. I know a lot of different companies out there that give 630 credit score. And some companies give us with a 600 credit score, you can get a loan. And so a lot of times you have to put down 10% to 10 to 20% down on the property as an investor.
I don't want to miss that. What you just said was, once you get to this point where your portfolio is so extensive and proven, your credit score isn't a determining factor. And for most people, they have it in their mind that credit score is the end all between all. But once you get to a certain point where your body of work can speak for itself, your credit score takes a back seat.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Assets all day long. When you go into these banks, these mortgage companies, I remember when I used to go in there and when I was dealing with credit, it used to be, because they knew I was a police officer because they want to see paycheck stubs. So they know you're a police officer. They know whatever your profession is. So I remember they used to come in and they used to be, oh, Officer King, come on in, have a seat. And I used to always hear them say, Officer King, how can we help you? How can we help you? Which is being nice. And that's probably what most people get when they go to the bank. They go, how can we help you? But now when I go in there and I got my portfolio that I have, it's a whole different language. Now the language that I hear is, Mr. King, how may we service you? How may we service you? It's a big difference, man, when somebody tells you how can we help you as opposed to how may we service you.
Yes.
So yeah, everything is portfolio based driven. And I speak to those listeners out there, research portfolios. This is the new game. A portfolio is the new money. Because what you're doing with a portfolio, this is how you create generational wealth. In the beginning, I used my portfolio to take care of my lifestyle, my wife's lifestyle, my children. But now the portfolio that I have is going to take care of my grandchildren's lifestyle. It's going to take care of my great-grandchildren's lifestyle. There's no reason why this portfolio of properties we putting together, if it was able to take care of our lifestyle currently, it can still take care of those to come, future generations to come.
Awesome, man. Anybody else got anything you want to add before I move the podcast along the phase on?
Hey, man, look,
where your workshops, where your seminars. We come sit down off the video and have a conversation.
Hey, bro, this is what I'm all about. That's what generational wealth is about. It's not about just Jamal's kids. It's not just about, Jamal's family. It's about everybody's family. Because the more wealthier you are, the better this world going to be. The better it's going to be the better our community is going to be. The better it's going to be for everybody. And so that's what generational is about. That's what true wealth is all about. It's about everybody coming together and pulling their resources together. It's about sharing information with each other. I mean, what you guys are doing right now with this podcast, you guys are giving information out here, and it's what's needed. It's certain things that's not talked about out here. Growing up, you guys seem like we're all about the same age. We never really talked about money at the dinner table. That was a bad thing to do. That was a bad thing to do.
Yeah.
Exactly.
That was a bad thing to do, but I talk about it with my children, man. I go ahead and I tell my kids all the time, my kids get some money for their allowance or their chores or something like that. I ask them, what do you want to do? You want to take this money and put it in the bank? And then I'm like, okay, if you had this money in the bank, if I give you $50 and you take this $50, you put it in the bank, this is what you're going to get back every month. And I get them 2 pennies. Every single month, I get them 2 pennies. Here you go. This is the interest off your money. And I'm probably being generous. I giving them 2 pennies back. And so, or I say, okay, cool. Get daddy your $50. Get daddy your $50, and I'm gonna invest it in real estate. I'm doing a project on it. You give me your money, I'm investing in real estate, and then in 3 months, when we sell this property, you're gonna get your return. And then after that 3 months, they give me $50, I give them back $500. And I show them, and they be like, wait a minute, Dad. At the bank, they only gave me 2 pennies back.
Exactly.
But when I invested in the real estate with you gave me back $500. I said, exactly, baby.
And that's what they don't tell you.
That's exactly how life is. So that's the type of stuff we talk about at the dinner table. My kids be coming to me talking about something. Hey, Dad, I got $100. Can I invest in real estate? And I'll be like, absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. But what you're doing is you're getting their mindset ready. You're getting it ready, bro. I mean, just think about it. You could take $200,000 and you could put it in the bank. And that $200,000 is going to make you every single month 0.002% interest, which ain't even like $20. But yet you can take that. I don't even need to take the whole 200. Give me just $30,000 of the 200, and I can invest it in a piece of real estate, which is my down payment on the property. And this property can net me $3,000 a month. So that's why I'm not cash heavy in the bank. I tell people all the time, I'm really not liquid. I love, as opposed to some people, they go and they might have 3 or 4 different bank accounts. They're like, okay, this bank account got 20,000 in, this one got 30,000, this one got, I look at real estate. I drive down the streets of Chicago and I'm like, yeah, that building there is worth $500,000. This building here is worth $200,000. This building here is worth $800,000. This building's worth. And the crazy part about it is when you break down not only what the buildings are worth, but how much residual income, how much net income I get from it every single month, you can't beat it. You can't beat it. It's no sport. Yeah, you might play in the NFL right now, and yeah, you might be making $100 million right now, but will your children be making $100 million? Will your grandkids? Can you guarantee me that your grandkid gonna run a 4.240? Can you guarantee me that your grandkid gonna be 6'8"? But I can't guarantee you that this portfolio that I got right here, I can guarantee you my children gonna have it. I can guarantee you my grandkids gonna have it.
It's life changing.
Man, bro, it's serious. It is life changing. Absolutely.
Wow.
Absolutely. And bro, we can go on and on. We haven't even got started on how I took the money from the real estate, then started the daycare centers, and then started the other
we're going to save that for another podcast episode. I was just going to say, I was like, man, and all we just talked about was the real estate. We haven't talked about other companies that this all springboarded and we were able to jump into as a result of. Man, powerful. I hope people were taking notes. If you weren't taking notes, you want to go back and start from the beginning, because I can tell you the guys, I don't think there are people that are going to comment on this podcast and say, man, Fresh was real quiet on this show. Just taking it all in. And I hope everybody out there in the audience did as well.
Got the brains moving, boy. The wheels going. Like,
yes.
I got
Sunday morning conversations, baby. That's what they all about.
Find this much, and go invest this much, and give me a couple properties. We good.
Easy.
Hey, man, make real estate real for you.
Ooh.
Make real estate real for you. I never sat back and said that I was going to be this multi-millionaire from real estate. All I was doing was making it real for me. I said that I wanted a certain kind of lifestyle. I wanted my lifestyle taken care of. I wanted to be able to give my wife, who I've been with since high school, I wanted to be able to give her the type of life that she deserved. I wanted to be able to give my children, who didn't ask to be in this world, I wanted to be able to give them the type of education that they deserve. I didn't want to have to only give them what I can afford, but I wanted to be able to give them what they deserve. Right.
Yep.
So make real estate real for you, bro. Make real estate real for you. If all you entrepreneurs are saying, hey, I necessarily don't want to be in the real estate. I want to own my own gym. I want to own my own this business.
That's still a building.
I used real estate. I used real estate to finance my other businesses. I never went to the bank. I became the bank. I went to myself for a loan. I went to refinance my properties. I used the residual income from my properties to finance my other businesses. And that's how I was able to start those businesses and make those businesses so successful so fast, because once those businesses got going, I never had to take money from those businesses to live off of, because my life was taken care of. I was able to take 100% of the profit and reinvest it into the business, when most people, they living off of their businesses. So use real estate to take care of your life. Use real estate to fund that passion that you got for yourself. You let real estate be that safety net. Let real estate be that thing that's going to take care of your business, the business or the idea that you have. Make real estate real for you.
There it is. There it is.
So many questions, and I've been looking into and reading and doing mad research trying to figure out this process for real estate. And I think you may have given me more in 40 minutes, and I've read in like a month.
Wow.
So it's kind of crazy. It's just just mind blowing and like speechless. I was really excited like last night when Brett called me. You were going to come on today. So I kind of was tossing and turning the whole night, just like of excitement, just to learn. So it was really cool to just hear that and know that it's definitely doable. I have my segment now, but I got a question to ask you first. If it's okay with you, Brett, I can ask this question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So we talked about the desirable areas that you knew would go forward 5, 10, 20 years from now.
Yeah.
How did you, what were you looking for to say, all right, I noticed this area is not ready yet. I can go in here cheap and buy this. But how did you know, what did you do to get that information for yourself?
As far as to know which areas to buy in?
Yeah.
Okay, well, first off, like I said, I had those 3 components that I always look at. And so the residual income definitely was number one. I wanted to make sure that, because without getting any kind of income, it's pointless. So I wanted to say, because I had a certain dollar amount that I needed to get from each property. So I'd never buy a property without saying, what is it worth it to me to take on this debt? What is it worth it to me to make every single month to take on this debt? I've talked to people before and they're like, oh yeah, I'm taking on this property. I'm going to make $600 a month. It's not worth it to me to take on a debt to only receive $600. So once I determined that, okay, cool, it met the criteria that I was going to make whatever it was that I needed to make from that property, check. That was the first check mark. The next check mark is after I add value to it, after I put money into this, after I fix this property up, after I, put new cabinets in there, new countertops, new windows, how much will the ARV be? The ARV is the after repaired value. And your appraiser pretty much will let you know that. Or you can get what's called the comparables. Your real estate broker can let you know that. Once I found out that, okay, if I do these certain items, this property will now have $50,000 to $100,000 more equity in that property. So let's just say $100,000 more equity. After 3 months of purchasing any property, you can refinance that property. And most banks will give you 50% what's called LTV, meaning loan to value. They will let you take 50% out. So from the time you buy the property, you fix those items up, in 3 to 6 months, you can refinance that and pull out. If it's $100,000 equity, you can pull out $50,000 of that equity instant. And so once that criteria was met, check. There was another check mark right there. And then now I got 2 out of the 3. And now the third one is the area. You can go to in your city, you can go to the Department of Planning, and they'll a lot of times let you know the different things that's going on. They'll let you know if any type of special grocery store is going up, any new school is going up, and things like that. So a lot of times with me, I just know my surroundings. I know my city. And so you can tell, you can always, I don't know if you ever, where you guys are at, you might see construction, whenever they're going in the ground and you see the Department of Water out there and they're changing the pipes and things like that. The reason why they're changing those pipes is because they need a larger service in the ground because they're about to build something in that community. And so a lot of times, you can go to even like your alderman's office, you can go to different places like that. And being a police officer, I was in the know-how of what's going on. I would see guys out there all the time doing construction, and I would go out there in my police uniform, and just go talk. Everybody want to talk to the police,
right.
And they would definitely tell me, oh yeah, we're putting up a new school here. We're putting up this new grocery store. There's a bank coming up over here. And I would say, okay, cool. The third criteria, check, and I would buy property. And the reason why you want to buy property in an area that's kind of on an upswing is because, of course, it's going to affect your future value of that property.
And longevity, right? Yep.
And longevity. A lot of times, that's a great point too. A lot of times now I have so many properties that when I buy a property, I'm always thinking to myself, is this property in the type of area that I would want my daughter or my grandchildren to go into?
Wow.
How is this property going to be in the next 20, 30 years? Because now I'm buying properties for them. And my lifestyle is straight. I'm good. We're good.
And,
now I'm trying to affect others.
And just to show you the type of, remember when you talk about not looking at the price, right? So he just gave you 3 criteria.
Yeah.
I've seen this man identify the criteria sitting right next to him in a seminar or in a conference, and he's sitting there on his phone, and I'm like, "What you doing, bro?" I'm looking at properties. I think I'm about to put a contract in, just like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm addicted to it. I mean, but Carol, it just makes sense, dog. It just makes sense. It makes sense, man. You know, and I used to tell my wife, like back in the day when we were talking about, you know, she wanted a car and we had money saved up, I would just take the money that we were going to spend on the car, I would take it and use that as my down payment on the property, and then that property is going to take care of her condo forever.
Mm-hmm.
And then once that car is paid off, we're going to get another car. And then we're not paying for it. But why take your last and go spend it on debt? And then now you got to save up again for the next 10 years just to get that amount of money again.
See it every day.
Why not take that money that you have and invest? I mean, these are biblical principles, bro. You know, why not take the little that you have, plant it in the ground? And then, so if you got one seed left, you take that seed. Most people take that seed and go spend that seed. I take my last seed, I plant it in the ground, so now I can get hundreds of fruit. So now I can get hundreds of crop. So that's what I do, bro. I would never take my last and spend it on a debt. I'll take my last and invest it, and then let that investment now take care of that debt.
There's so many more questions I have, but I know I don't have 4, 5, 6, 7 hours to ask you, but I have your number. So I
Plus you have Jamal's number. Exactly.
Right. Just call me up.
Contact offline.
Just call me up. I see you in the background. It look like you're a Kappa, huh?
Yes, sir.
I'm not gonna hold it to you. I'm not gonna hold it against you, bro. My dad and my brother, they both Kappas, but I am a mighty man. I'm a Mega Psi Phi.
Bro, to the hey, man, you like, you know the real information, man. Like, what's up?
I used to be on number.
Yes, sir. Epsilon Beta, 1999.
Oh, man, see, we got to talk more after the podcast, man. Go ahead, Faison. Let's get this corner in, baby, so we can get the fresh in biz and Carol can close us out.
It's kind of crazy because I thought about this right after the podcast last week, and we're kind of living it, but it's commit yourself to constant self-improvement. And I think that this cast really embodied that whole process.
Absolutely.
Consistently, no matter what it is you're doing, self-improvement every single day. And just like you said, not buying it for the debt, buying it to grow and then pay you back later on.
Hey, say it one more time, bro. We need some volume. Get close to the mic.
No problem. You got that.
I know you had a little surgery and you might be feeling like less of a man right now. You're still a man.
You got to commit yourself to commit to self-improvement.
That's deep, powerful.
That's it.
There it is. Fresh in biz, man. We talked about the marketing budget last week, man. So now we
did
marketing plan this week.
You know what? We're actually not going to talk about the marketing plan this week. I think with the powerful moment that we all experienced today, I think one of the pieces that most in business don't do, and that's being able to hold on to the small victories, right? And being able to take those little pieces and understand they're parts of a larger puzzle. Too many times we get caught up in wanting to see what's going to be there in 10 years and wanting that success of the 10 years of work and don't understand, it takes those days, hours, minutes of now that will then create what we're going to do and be in 10 years. So it's about taking those small victories, understanding simple things of just taking a step to say, you know what, I do actually make the most amazing cupcakes. Everybody keeps telling me about it. You know what, I'm going to go ahead and my first step is going to be actually, naming and creating my business, going out and getting that business license and taking those steps and understanding that in creating your business license, it doesn't mean that because in a week you don't have a store, a location, or selling millions of cupcakes out the door that you're a failure. It's understanding all those steps combine and get together and then create the success and the path that you want. So hold on to those small victories, those little pieces. Understand they combine to make that bigger puzzle, and that's where your success can come from. That's where we're going this week. Fresh and Biz, holla at your boy.
There it is. Ladies and gentlemen, before we wrap this thing up, actually, Jamal, I'm going to go to you first. Now, before we ask you for your social media, do you offer this advice, willingly to the public, speaking engagements or anything like that?
You know what? And the fellas can tell you just at the beginning of this year, CJ, from ETA, from Eric Thomas and Associates, CJ, the president, he brought me on this podcast, The Secret to Success. And pretty much I told my story, and that bad fella went viral, man. And I have been on tour with Eric Thomas, CJ, Josh, Maya, and the crew. Ever since then, we probably have hit over 20 cities just since the beginning of this year, man. It's been phenomenal. Such a blessing, bro. And so it's crazy because everybody gets on me because I don't have any social media. I don't. Yeah, I don't, bro. I don't have any social media. But what I do have, I'm old school. I got my email, and so I give out my email. It's King JEMAL, KingJemal, the number 3 at yahoo.com. King JEMAL 3
email address, y'all.
My dog.
Yeah,
old
school
now.
Hey, the
Blaze is still in the lot. Don't get it
exactly, bro. The thing about it is that what I do. I'm doing this. Who are you investing for? Are you investing for the grand, or are you investing for your grandchildren? I ain't investing for it. Think about it, man. I'm not out here taking pictures of what I'm doing. I got a portfolio. Forget pictures.
I don't need to.
My portfolio. That's my grand. That's what my portfolio. And so, that's what I do, bro. I sit back and I grind, but I know eventually, because I am speaking with ETA now, and we are spreading the word, and we're going to have a real estate course on Breathe You, and we're going to eventually come out with a different real estate seminar and things like that. So so everybody will be able to start, seeing me, and we will start doing some type of coaching and things like that. Right now, we are putting together a book. And different things like that. So, we are coming out, real soon. But that's my email. If anybody out there just want to drop me an email, drop me a question, and we get some dialect, and it's a real, deep question, and, I don't really doing too much typing and stuff like that, man. I just go ahead. At that point, I just throw my phone number out there, and we can just talk.
Got you, man. I'm looking forward to all of those things, especially the book, man, because I think me and Carol talked about it sometime last year before you left Maryland about the Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And a lot of the principles that you talked about are in that book. However, that book is at this point a little bit outdated, I think, man. And it's a revamp. So I'm looking forward to what you're going to bring to the table with the book you're working on, bro.
Yeah, man. I read that book once before, bro. And that's a great book. And those principles, I can go further back. Those principles are not really, they didn't start with Robert Kiyosaki. These are like a lot of biblical principles, bro, that he just took and he kind of transformed it for the time maybe 20 years ago.
Right.
And these are principles that just keep going over and over again. Mm-hmm. And for everybody out there, I'm sitting here, I want to tell you guys, like, I wasn't born in privilege. I come from a blue collar family. I've been blue collar my whole life. One thing I noticed, though, because now I'm still surrounded around a bunch of blue collar people, and I'm surrounded around wealthy. And one thing I noticed, the major difference between the two is that there's another biblical principle. According to your faith, be it unto you. Meaning, according to what you believe is possible, you're going to have. Wow. The reason why I was a police officer is because I believed it was possible. After the NFL didn't happen for me, it was easy to become a police officer. Why? Because my faith level was police officer. My faith level now is multi-millionaire. And actually, my faith level going forward is billionaire. So according to your faith, be it unto you. According to what you believe is possible for your life, you will have.
I think we're going to leave it right there. What you think, Carol?
I think so. There's no need for me to follow up after that, bro.
Easy, man. Make sure you get this podcast off of SoundCloud, Google Play, iTunes. We got the videos on YouTube, Facebook, Vimeo. Check the platform. My man Fresh does work on the Vimeo platform and Spotify, man. But we about to get up out of here, Carol. I didn't mean to cut you off. Yeah, one more thing.
Nah, you good, bro. Roll with it, man.
There it is, man. Thank you all for listening here with us on the 13th floor, where the furniture isn't always the best, but the views are amazing.
The 13th floor. The 13th floor.